So also hallo zusammen, noch einmal. I hope everybody is doing good. So we are back with the new month, February, and we are going to start with a new topic, of course, which is reflexive verben, which are called in English reflexive verbs. Don't get very much carried away with the name of it, because how we use in English may not be 100% how you would use them in German. Alright, like firstly, there are those verbs which are reflexive because of no meaning as such, like they are just by nature reflexive. They don't really give you a very significant meaning to a sentence of them being reflexive. Alright, so we have, that's one category, and the second category is where there is a specific meaning why a verb is reflexive in nature. Before we talk in detail about these two categories, we are going to look on the screen here right now what are reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronoun are reflexive pronouns. Like each of the reflexive verb, you can see over there each pronoun will have its own reflexive pronoun. So ich, mich, du, dich, es, sie, sich, wir, uns, and sie, sich. Okay, so this is something which you'll be remembering. This is similar, or I would say what you can just understand a bit with respect to English as yourself, myself, themselves, himself, etc. Nevertheless, understanding these forms is one thing. Now let's get to the real application part of it. So as I mentioned earlier, there are these first category of verbs which are just reflexive by nature. As in, these verbs are going to be reflexive without really imparting a specific meaning to them. Let's see the examples. The first verb which I am taking is sich beeilen. Sich beeilen is to hurry up. It's just reflexive by nature. The example over here is wir haben uns für das Seminar beeilt. Like, we hurried ourselves or we hurried up for the seminar. Let's see one more such example where it is reflexive just by nature, which is sich bewerben. Sich bewerben is to apply. Ich bewerbe mich ganzen Tag neue Stelle. Like, I apply the entire day for new job positions. This is reflexive by nature. We move on to the next category where there is a purpose why a verb is reflexive. There are majorly two categories which you need to remember. First is when you want to express something which is happening, which is miteinander, with each other. Okay, let's see the example. Treffen. I'm going to use it in a reflexive way. Alright. Wir treffen uns am Abend im Café. So like the meaning here literally goes as we meet each other in the cafe every day. So rather than saying miteinander, we are going to use a reflexive part of the verb over here, which is like wir treffen uns am Abend im Café. The second application of reflexive verb is something which is happening for you yourself, that is für sich selbst. For example, let's see the example. Sich bauen. Bauen is a verb which means to build or to construct, and when I'm attaching something like sich, it indicates for yourself or for himself or for herself, whatever is the subject. So let us see the example. Wir bauen uns ein schönes Haus. We are constructing, we are building for ourselves a beautiful house. We are going to see one more such example, which is sich lassen. Ich lasse mich verwöhnen. I let myself pamper. This is for myself. So until now, if you have really understood the structure, reflexive verbs are more like a reflex of a subject. So whatever is your subject, the same reflexive pronoun you are using to emphasize on a particular action. So moving on to one very specific criteria. After you understand this, after you start applying, remember one thing, reflexive pronoun, like reflexive pronouns are mostly going to be in accusative. However, if the sentence has an accusative component by default. That is, it already has the direct object. Oh, well, for direct object, we already have a video. You can go back and check the video on that. But if it already has an object, then the reflexive pronoun will be in dative. This is very important. This is a very small part but makes a lot of difference. We are going to see a couple of examples to this. Alright, let's see. Sich anziehen. What is the meaning of it? Sich anziehen is to dress up, to dress oneself up. Okay, I'm going to make a sentence. Ich ziehe mich an. When you look at this example, it means I dress up myself. It's perfectly all right. However, I'm making a change in the sentence where I'm bringing in an accusative component over here. So I'm going to make a sentence. Ich ziehe mir einen Pullover an. Take a look at this example very carefully. I have an accusative component, einen Pullover. What am I dressing up? Like a pullover. Hence, my reflexive pronoun, which is ideally supposed to be mich, cannot be mich and it has to be mir. Alright, let's see one more such example. Ich wünsche mir ein großes Haus. Once again, ich wünsche, I wish for myself. What am I wishing? A big house. That's an accusative. And hence, my reflexive is going to be in dative, which is mir. This is a small thing which comes a little later after you start learning reflexive verbs. But the first and the foremost thing, please remember, there are few verbs which are just reflexive by nature and few which have a specific meaning which they want to convey. I'm going to leave you all with this, and I hope you'll have really understood the concept of reflexive verbing. You get one question from my end this time. I'm going to give you 3 verbs which are displayed on the screen below. You have to tell me which of these reflexive verbs will have dative as a reflexive pronoun and it will also have an accusative component. On having said this, we will be ending today's video. I'll be seeing you on next Friday. Bis Freitag. Mach's gut. Tschüss.